if this average girl from Dublin who failed PE can go on and dominate a previously male-dominated sport and become the first woman to win the main event of WrestleMania and become the man in her field, well then, anybody can do anything.
And here comes the man. Becky Lynch is the sentimental favorite, and she has earned the right to enter in grand style.
Becky Lynch, congratulations. We got a book.
We got a
book.
We got this book.
Coming out,
I wrote my book.
Not your average girl. What was your biggest takeaway from the writing process?
What a fascinating thing that was, because in order for it to be something that people want to read and people want to not put down, or at least that's my goal, is that it has to be honest, and you have to be as brutally honest with yourself as you can be, because you always think of yourself as the hero of the story, and in your mind you always are the hero of the story, but then you have to look back at situations and you're like, I was not the hero in that story, that wasn't the way I should have conducted myself, and you're really putting a microscope on yourself and all of your past behaviors, good, bad, or indifferent. And they're mostly either good or bad, they're not usually indifferent.
What would you say the main differences are between Rebecca Quinn and Becky Lynch, the man?
Rebecca Quinn cries a lot. Rebecca Quinn doubts herself a lot. But there's this weird juxtaposition of unbreakable self-belief and then just crippling self-doubt that I think I'm battling with constantly. And the man just tends to have the self-belief out in full view for everybody to see, and not so much the self-doubt. I think when it comes to Rebecca Quinn, I have those in equal measures.
Yeah.
And that's what drives me, right? Because I'm so scared of this part that tells me that I can't and that I'm not good enough and that I could be better. That drives me to be better, because there's also that part that's going, yeah, no, but you're great.
And I love how much you went for that, what seems like an unattainable goal. It's like, a woman can never main event WrestleMania. And you're like, okay, but I'm going to. What drove you, do you think, to do that, to get there?
When I started wrestling, not that I ever thought that I was going to be a WWE superstar, I just wanted to get fitter and healthier. I thought dreaming of being a WWE superstar was almost silly for a girl from Ireland who'd failed PE. But once I got in there, and I think I was around 17, that I figured, I can do this. I can do this for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty good at it. And then I fell off and I quit the business for 7 years, which was a great thing. Because if I had continued going, maybe I would have gotten signed, but I wouldn't have been in the right place with the right people.
Yeah.
When I got signed, I came in where the world of wrestling was opening up. Triple H was in charge of developmental. He was booking women the way he'd book men. But just stories and being able to tell stories, and I came up with Sasha and Charlotte and Bailey, and they all had the same vision. They wanted to be seen as superstars, as equals to the men. They wanted to steal the show every match we had. And so we all did that, and we went out there, and it became, and it always was, but it really became a chip on my shoulder. Why wouldn't I be able to main event WrestleMania? Why wouldn't I be able to be the main event of any pay-per-view? Mm-hmm. Well, because I'm a woman? Well, that shouldn't matter. Not in 2018, not in 2019,
yeah.
2017. It shouldn't have never mattered, but it certainly shouldn't matter now. Even when I got signed, I was told, move like a girl. I was like, what are you talking about? I'm a girl, I'm moving. What does move like a girl mean? But we weren't allowed to punch. I wasn't allowed to throw uppercuts. Like, all of these standard wrestling moves were too barbaric for women, and women, nobody wanted to see women hitting each other or being violent with each other. This is what we do. This is wrestling. And they don't want that. Women certainly didn't want that. They wanted to see women doing what the men do. They wanted to see women being competitors and being groundbreakers. And thankfully that all changed and I got to be part of it.
I think one of my biggest takeaways when I was reading the book is, like, the respect that you have for Charlotte Flair, and you talk about your relationship, and I would love to see you guys come back together someday as like besties. Do you think your friendship can ever go back to what it was, and where do you guys stand now?
I don't know that it'll ever go back to where it was. It could, I wouldn't rule it out, but it will be something different, you know? We're good now. And I think that's the trials and tribulations of life, you know? You fall out with people, and hopefully you can get to a point where you can own your mistakes and you can move on from that. And I think with her, there's always so much love, you know?
It does
like
seem
we
like
came
there's a
up
deep...
together. There's love, even when we were on the outs. I think maybe it hurt most because there's always been so much love, you know?
Right.
I think sometimes they end up being some of the best relationships because you go through the mud with them, and you come out the other side and you have a lot more understanding.
Let's talk about your debut.
Yes.
So you wrote about it as the most shameful debut in the history of wrestling. What do you think would have happened if you didn't do the Irish jig?
Would have main evented WrestleMania maybe 2 years before that. I don't know. No. I don't know, because I got a second chance and a third chance and a fourth chance and many other chances after that. So the only thing is I would have lacked a great story, you know, because if you can go from the worst possible debut in the history of wrestling to being the first woman to win the main event of WrestleMania, then I think anything is possible. So I think that's it. I wouldn't have proof that anything is possible.
Right.
And now I have documented proof. But I think that's the great thing about WWE, because we're live 52 weeks a year. We have so much content. You constantly get a chance to try and to fail and succeed, but there's so much failure.
Yeah.
There's so much failure, but you just have to move on and learn from it and grow.
That's fun though.
There comes a lot of, why did I do that? I should
Sure.
Gosh, I should know better.
Shooting up a bed at
But you
4 in
know,
the
you
morning.
kind of have to, you kind of have to push that to the side and just move on.
Let's talk about the moment that you really took on the mantle as the man. So there's this iconic shot of you, blood down your face, you're concussed, your nose is broken. How much of this do you actually remember?
Oh, I remember it in snippets, but then because I've seen so much footage of it, like I think that I remember, but I don't.
But you don't, right?
But I don't, because I can see myself on the top. I remember being on the top and being like, I'm supposed to stay here. I'm supposed to stay here. Okay, the red light's still on. I'll stay here. And then I just remember walking through the doors, and I can't even remember the face in front of me, but just being like, where am I? And I also have a very vivid memory of wiping my nose with a towel and throwing it back. Again, a blurry face. And then I just remember the aftermath of that. But yeah, the actual moments of everything happening, very blurry.
Which is amazing, because then you look back and you're like, that was one of the most iconic moments.
In my career.
Yeah.
Can't even remember it.
Can't even remember it.
Can't even remember it.
What would you consider your proudest moment in the ring?
Obviously, it was a very proud moment, winning the main event of WrestleMania, holding 2 titles in the air, my dad and my brother being in the front row. I think that's one of my proudest moments. But then one of my favorite matches was when I lost, and when I lost to Bianca Belair, and coming back after having my daughter and having one of my favorite matches, having turned into the bad guy, having spent most of my career being a good guy, and righting a wrong there, because I'd stolen the title from her. I'd taken the title by beating her in a very nefarious way at SummerSlam, and being able to repay that story, the biggest stage of them all, having what I felt was one of my best matches, and being able to give her that title, that was a very proud moment for me too.
You talk a lot about your relationship with Colby, aka Seth freaking Rollins. And you guys were buds years before crossing into a relationship. I mean, you were engaged, and he was like, what the heck are you doing?
He's so honest, that man. He was always so honest with me.
What ultimately made you realize that there was a deeper connection there than a friendship?
I feel like there was always a deep connection with him. Like there was always a bond. There was always just something, like he used to tease me, but in a way that was so loving. Like I'd always run up to him and I'd tell him these stupid jokes and he'd tell me I was the worst and then we'd go our separate ways. But I would always look forward to seeing him so much. Like he was the person, if we had a joint pay-per-view, that I would look forward to seeing the most. Like I just loved hanging around with him. And then it was around late 2018 that our schedules started to mix a lot more, because I was doing both shows. I'd be on Raw and then I was on SmackDown, and so I would see a lot more of him. And anytime we came together and we'd have these chats and we were both going through stuff in our own relationships, I had been unceremoniously ghosted at the time, and
Worst.
For the best. Thank God. You know, we bonded over these things, and we're both single and free and had no ideas of any attachment. And one thing led to another, and then here we are 5 years later, married with a kid.
When you found out you were main eventing WrestleMania, and you told him, and his response was like kind of dry.
Yeah.
And it turns out like he was a little jealous.
Yeah.
How do you navigate that? Because it's like when you have somebody in the same career as you, kind of with the similar goals, that can be hard to not feel jealous.
Yes, to not feel jealous and compare yourself. I think that becomes hard, but I think we've gone through it so many times because we're both competing for that top spot that we've just learned that sometimes it's my go and then it's your go, and then it's just give and take, and it's all just waves. Wrestling is just waves, and it's knowing when to catch your wave. It's knowing when to sit there and wait, how to be patient. And we all battle with that. We all battle especially with the patience part. But he's got quite an unreadable face, you know, in general. So like I'll come up with him with these very excited ideas, and he's a thinker, and so he'll think about it. I'm like, oh, that's it. You hate it. And he's like, no, it's brilliant. You know, or something. Yeah, are you mad at me? But that's just his way. And so I'm a very enthusiastic, like if he comes with a great idea, I'm like, oh, that's the best thing in the world. You know, but it's just learning. The people have different reactions than your reaction, and you have to not take that personally. It's just how they react, and I'm just looking for the approval, and he gives it, but in his way. And so it's a matter of not expecting somebody to react the way that you think that you would react.
Real adorable.
Best, she's magic.
Is she 3?
She's 3 now.
3.
She's 3. She's incredible, man. She's just fun, and she's smart, and she's funny, and she's sweet. And she's just everything. She's powerful. We call her Mob Boss Rue because she runs a tight ship, you know. She's 3. We're all like, oh. Okay, yes, whatever you say, ma'am.
Does she have any concept of like any grasp of what you guys do? You guys take her with you.
We take her with us. So like she sees us on trucks and on posters and things around the arena.
She has no idea it's
like,
not normal.
Yeah, she's like, there's the Dada truck and there's the Mama truck. There's no Rude truck. Like, no, honey, there's no Rude truck. And she sees our action figures and things like that, and she knows that we're on TV. And, you know, we get boo-boos, and we get boo-boos from working. And she's like, do all grown-ups get boo-boos working? And it's like, no, you know, like Uncle Joshy works at the gym, and Aunt Jen, she works on a computer. So it's like trying to explain that not all jobs when you get older will involve getting, you know, beaten up.
That's so funny.
Getting boo-boos, you know.
Do you think she has it in her blood? Like, do you think...
I mean, that kid's got so much charisma. She has no interest in it, though. She doesn't like watching it. She'll see Mama or Dada on TV, and then she'll be off onto her own thing. She likes, you know, she likes watching her princesses. She loves Toy Story. She's into Spider-Man, and she's into the villains and the superheroes. The villains, as she says, she blames everything on the villain. Did the villain give you that boo-boo? Yeah, the villain did. Did you boom the villains? I did boom the villains. But I don't know that I don't know if that's what we'll see. We'll see,
Yeah.
I suppose. She has a hell of a leg drop. A hell of a leg drop.
Right.
Yeah, she can always be leg dropping on the
That's
on the
hilarious.
bed. But I don't know if that's what she's going to want to do. We'll see. My mom is really hoping she's going to want to be a doctor. She's 3.
Just 3.
She's 3.
We talk about how many barriers you've broken and how much the wrestling, women in wrestling has changed since you've been a part of it. What do you think still needs to happen?
I still see some discrepancies. There's still some clumpings that happen. That I can pinpoint and say these don't usually happen with male storylines. And with male matches, and these are little biases that I think need to change. But the great thing is, I think everybody's so open to feedback, and it's not going to be perfect right away, and it's going to take some time to get there. And we're still in its infancy. Like, I came in 10 years ago, 11 years ago, and we've changed so much from then. So I can only imagine how much we're going to change in another 10 years.
Well, your journey has been so inspiring. What do you hope readers take away from your memoir?
That if this average girl from Dublin who failed PE can go on and dominate a previously male-dominated sport and become the first woman to win the main event of WrestleMania and become the man in her field, well then, anybody can do anything.
You are not your average girl.
Not your average girl. Get it wherever you get books.
Get it wherever you get books.